Hey there, welcome to Popcorn Reviews. I'm Jesse Moritz, and today we're checking out the classic Jaws, directed by Steven Spielberg in 1975, composed by John Williams, starring Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss. Now, does the first Summer Blockbuster still hold up? Spoiler alert, yeah, it does. But either way, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. Alright, as you know, we don't got a lot of time, so let's get right into this. Jaws is a PG movie directed by the greatest director of all time, Steven Spielberg, along with being composed by the greatest composer of all time, John Williams. And if you disagree with that, you're wrong. The flick takes place in a small town called Amityville, and the movie begins with a shark attack that doesn't show much shark at all, which I will get into later, but I gotta explain the premise first. You're jumping the gun, Jesse. Anyways, the dude on my shirt starts by having some medium rare teenager for dinner, and we eventually begin to meet our protagonist, Roy Scheider, the late Roy Scheider, rest in peace, our local chief, who is new to Amityville from New York, and begins to realize that there's a, dead body crisis in the beach, and begins to butt heads with the mayor of Amityville, but what to do since the 4th of July is coming up, and the summer town kind of thrives in that time period. Once Chief Brody discovers the source of their little dead body palooza, our local chief, a marine biologist, and a crazy old sailor veteran guy end up teaming together to hunt down Jaws, or Bruce. Obviously, if you can't tell, I really love this movie. Again, it's not really one of my top 20 favorite movies of all time, but it definitely is one of the greatest movies of all time. Obviously, I have immense respect for Steven Spielberg and John Williams. They've created some of my favorite movies, ranging from Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Saving Private Ryan, the whole deal. These guys are amazing. This is only Spielberg's second movie ever, which is pretty crazy to think about with how much of a cult classic it's become. Similar to what Reservoir Dogs did for Quentin Tarantino, it immediately launched their careers and gave them their reputation of who they are to this day. John Williams, oh my god, kills the score to this movie. And even with Spielberg's doubts regarding the Jaws theme, which is so famous now that you can't really imagine what it'd be like without it, this movie would not be the same without the score. And the tension is so good in this movie because of the music. Given that this movie was made in the 70s, I think it's extremely bloody for a PG movie. Obviously, it's a horror movie, but still, I was watching this movie a little bit with my brother, actually, and we were both like, holy crap, this is a lot bloodier than I remember, especially regarding one of the characters' deaths. If you've seen the movie, you know which one I'm talking about. I think my only complaint coming out of this movie has got to be some of the dialogue, especially in the beginning scenes. It's a bit, it's a bit cheesy. It could have been worked better, but, it's a horror movie. You don't look exactly for the dialogue in horror movies, so you know what? I'm cool with it. Not to mention the 70s were definitely a different time, so I might just not be used to that lingo, I guess, if that makes any sense. Although I did just complain about the dialogue in the movie, one of my favorite exchanges between three characters ever is in this movie. When Quint, the old crazy sailor, is talking about the USS Indianapolis. I won't get much into it because no spoilers here. I want to say it's just a close-up shot of Robert Shaw, and he just carries the scene by delivering this amazing speech about the USS Indianapolis that, again, no spoilers. I'm gonna move on. One of the other things about this movie that I have to applaud for sure is the way they use their exposition in the movie. A good example of what I just said is with Hooper, the marine biologist. You learn a lot about his character and how intelligent he is through his initiative when it comes to talking about sharks and how sure he is on his answers. This obviously being contrasted with Robert Shaw's Quint, the more street smart, rough and ruggedy veteran that he plays. I love how their relationship in between the movie has a lot of tension, as it's kind of that competition between book smart and street smart. What's more important? Like I said earlier, I really want to talk about how Bruce the Shark isn't on screen for most of the movie. I want to say he's only in the movie for about 15 minutes. Let me fact check that. This is perfect because it really establishes one of Hitchcock's filmmaking rules when it comes to tension, the fear of the unknown. When you go into this movie, obviously you're expecting to see a giant crazy killer shark. But the more you wait to see it, and never once do you actually see Bruce the Shark in his entirety. You always see him underwater, either he's covered by shadows, or you only see his jaw coming up. The scariest thing in the world is not knowing. And when you don't know, when you see these characters not know exactly what they're up against, it's a nail biter. You can't stop and wonder, like, what are they up against? What's Obviously, with that being said, though, all the death scenes in this movie, spoiler, people get killed, are just amazing because since you're so used to not knowing, every time you see anything that even slightly resembles a shark, it just puts you on the edge of your seat. Each character is very individual to each other and is definitely could not be portrayed better by the actors that played them respectively. Even characters like the mother of a victim, not gonna say who, or the mayor, they give off those vibes and you immediately learn who they are just by a few sentences of dialogue. You know, the more I think about it, I think the dialogue exchange that really bothers me is, and it's really famous too, is the opening of the movie with the teenagers all hanging out together and they're like, oh, what's your name? Because they're all supposed to be drunk, obviously, whatever. I get that, but I don't know. It definitely was like, when I watched this movie, because I haven't seen this movie in a long time, I was like, oh, I don't remember this being so cheesy. Is that how the rest of the movie's gonna be? Which, you know, now that I think about it, no, it's not really that bad. Obviously, there are a few exchanges. I think another one that bothers me is the mayor. He's the one that can be a little bit stereotypical when he's just like that, only looking out for himself, selfish thing. If you're a fan of Jaws at all and you've heard the countless stories of behind the scenes hell that went on to make this movie, whether it's the conflict between Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw, the alcoholism that Robert Shaw had during this movie, along with just the struggles of the animatronic of Bruce the Shark, it makes you wonder, how the hell was this movie even made? Thankfully, this movie was made and is the cult classic that it is. Obviously, it kind of birthed the idea of a summer blockbuster. Even though it wasn't intentionally supposed to be a summer blockbuster, it created that genre of summer blockbusters, you know, whether it's kind of been plagued by Marvel or like Transformer type movies, which, whether you like them or not, I love them, but still, it's just the summer blockbuster, just something magical. I feel like everyone, even if you're not a huge movie fan and like has experienced that summer blockbuster before, you gotta shake Jaws' hands for sure, because without it, a whole genre of movies would not exist. Wow, okay, so I talked a lot about Jaws. I hope I can fit it into 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Otherwise, we're gonna need a bigger review. Anyways, let me go ahead and get into my final consensus about Jaws. Does Jaws deserve all the hype it gets? 100% yes. This movie really is a first of its kind of thing, you know, so you gotta cut it some slack, especially, again, I'm covering another movie that was made in the 70s, so special effects wise, gotta bear with it, but man, you would love this movie if you want to see some good old-fashioned tension at its best. Holy crap, I definitely tore up my nails again after watching this movie, even though I knew exactly what was going to happen. It's a nail-biter, and it's good at it. It's damn good at it. Yes, it does have some jump scares, but they definitely do feel earned. If you want to have some memorable scenes, if you want to be quoting this movie all week long, then yeah, go ahead and watch it. If you're one that definitely pays attention to the scores of movies, you're going to love Jaws. It's, again, kind of the first of its kind. John Williams at his best, like always, just making something that's so memorable and just so iconic that as soon as you hear it, you get that picture. You see this poster. You just, the soundtrack itself breathes Jaws into existence. Definitely got some amazing performances, even by the animatronic of Bruce. You are definitely gonna love this movie if you love practical effects. So when it comes to the cons, obviously, if you don't like horror movies, why are you even checking this out? If you're like way like heart problem, I can't handle horror movies, then don't watch Jaws. It's scary. It's scary. Even though it was made in the 70s, it's still scary. Which I guess actually is a pro as well. This movie is still scary, even though it was made in the 70s. It's just amazing. Another con is that it definitely does slow down at times. It's definitely a bit dialogue heavy and struggles in some scenes with the dialogue. Don't get me wrong, it has amazing dialogue in other scenes, but there's definitely some eye roller scenes to me that are like, oh, okay, really? So do I think you should watch Jaws? Yes, please go watch Jaws right now. I cannot recommend this movie enough. Classic, Steven Spielberg at his best, John Williams at his best. If you like either of those two, you're gonna love this movie. And especially if you're a cinephile like me, yeah, you'll appreciate it for sure. Hey guys, thank you so much again for watching the video. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe and like down below. Leave a comment of what movie you think I should check out next, and check out one of my old videos right here. And always remember, it's only an island if you look at it from the water.